I was born in a little town called Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. I was actually given up for adoption. My birth mother was 15 years old at the time. My parents shared that with me when I was about 12. They were unable to have children, obviously, and they waited years. They waited 5 years, I think, for me to come along. And it wasn't until years later I realized just how much that meant to them. As a kid, I grew up loving camping and all kinds of sports, but hockey was my thing. My father was an RCMP officer, so we moved a lot. I learned very young not to get too close to people because they or I was going to get taken away. Teenage years, normal. Most of my friends, high school and stuff, they drank. I started working in the restaurant and in the bar in grade 12, and it was basically every weekend for sure was a party. My wife and I met somewhere about grade 10, grade 11, somewhere in there. And grade 12 is when we started actually dating, went to prom together, and, okay, fine, off to university. I was going to manage the nightclub, and she was going to become a doctor. And she's like, no, you're not going to be a nightclub manager. Like, we want a life. So I said, okay, I'll go to school, right? I'll go get a business degree and figure it out. In university, it became daily. I would say out of hand on weekends and controlled during the week because I still had stuff to do. It's one of those things where I was deceiving myself that I can do this, I can pull this off. And in hindsight, I could see the spiral. The warning signs were all there. After university, got my first job was with a bank, and we would literally, work until 5:30, 6 o'clock, phone the wife, say, hey, I'm going to be working a little bit late here, go into the boardroom, open up the bar, and we go till 2 or 3 in the morning. And then when the kids came along, two careers, so juggling the kids with daycare and all that. And, I found out after the fact that her and the daycare people, they would basically say, if he shows up to pick up the kids and he's been drinking, I want a phone call because I had done that. Right. So she knew. She knew. When I agreed to go to treatment the first time, it was you either go to treatment or get out. The usual ultimatum that a lot of first time treatment people face, right? I wasn't even aware of the extent of my drinking. I really wasn't. The moment I realized that I truly was an alcoholic was after my third trip to a treatment center. While I was in treatment, I got divorce papers. I was hurt, but I was also kind of expecting it. But I came out, and within a month, I was drinking again. It wasn't about the drinking, it wasn't about the partying, it was about not feeling the pain, not feeling the shame, not feeling the guilt. While I was in treatment, rapid eye movement therapy, I think is what it's called, they knew there was something there. There's something else there. I was sexually assaulted when I was 13 years old as a hockey player. I honestly had no memory of it. And the day it hit, I could see the room. I could count the bricks. I could see the jackets. I could see the sticks. I could see everything but faces. And I was like, I was a camera in the corner watching. I was like, holy crap. Because those were my friends. Those are the people I played with. I drove back to the town that it happened in. I wrote a letter to these kids. The rink has been since torn down, but I knew exactly where it was, and it's an open lot. And I went there and I read the letter out loud, broad daylight. And I said, you don't have any power over me anymore, you mother, right? And I burnt the letter in a garbage can in the back alley. And that's the flipping point. But I had to make that choice that, no matter what, I'm going to find a different way to deal with my emotions. I've gone from trying to hide it, being ashamed of it, to go, I've got a story to tell. Because there's someone else out there like me. And if they can hear someone else got through it, is happy now doing their thing, then maybe that'll help. Somewhere between treatment center 2 and treatment center 3, I decided to try medication because I really didn't want to do meds. But a recovery friend of mine actually introduced me to this new doctor who's fascinated with recovery. That's his thing. And he put me at the end of the day. I'm sitting there at like 5:30, finally get in. We talked for 2.5 hours. He's that dedicated. He wanted to understand why, what was going on. And just the absolute sincerity and the empathy that he showed me in giving me the time And he just sat there and nodded and encouraged me and pat me on the back every now and then when it was a tough spot. And he was very open to whatever. Change your diet, get more exercise. Let's try drugs. If you don't like it, we can take you off. But I mean, he said, what do you feel comfortable with trying? It gave me value. He saw the broken little boy. He saw the broken executive. He saw the broken husband. He saw the broken son. But he also saw what I could be and what was buried deep down inside. He said, like, this is all stuff that's happened. This isn't you. This isn't you. So let's get the real you back out. I quit comparing myself to those around me, career wise or program wise or recovery wise. I just focused on my recovery and how happy I am and how happy the people in my life are when I'm doing those things properly. My son got married 2 years ago this October. My daughter's getting married this October. I'm in a relationship with a new person, and we got married this past April. Grandson on the way. So yeah, it's all coming together, and I'm a big part of it now. So I wouldn't have been a big part of it if I didn't make that right decision 6 or 7 years ago. My biggest takeaway is everybody has their own recovery journey. Don't give it to them and don't presume it. It's kind of cliche, but it takes a village. You don't have to do this alone. Most people can't do it alone. Find somebody you can trust them, and take a shot at recovery.